Olá pessoal, meu nome é Bernardo and welcome to the second edition of Got Riffs, the section of this channel in which I teach you riffs. Today it's going to be a lesson not of a riff per se, it's more of an introduction of a song, but it is something that I think it's pretty good to start with as well, besides AC/DC, which was the last Got Riffs, because it was the song that I first learned the whole thing through. And it is something that I tried to teach a friend of mine years and years ago, and I think I never quite managed to do it. So here's my attempt at doing that for you guys, and hopefully I'll send this video to the person that I tried teaching, and maybe now they will be able to play this as intended. And I don't know if they learned it already, but at least I finally did the effort to try and teach it properly. Hope you guys enjoy this. It's the intro of Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. And yeah. Okay guys, so as you heard in the intro, this is a song that requires only finger picking, so you won't need a pick for this. And while it is not the most simple thing to learn in the universe, I think it's a very good starting point to try and develop that finger dexterity without relying only on the pick. So I'm going to start with an exercise that's more or less based on this song. So you know this thing, right? Everyone knows this. It's very iconic. A good way to try and start learning it and gain some resilience on your fingers, so to speak, is to do this exercise. So this is all open strings. You just play the low E, then you play G and B and the high E, and then you go up, so B, G, E. So it's E, G, B, E, B, G, E. And then as a continuation of this exercise, you do exactly the same thing, but instead of playing the low E, you play the A and the D. So now A, now D, then A again, and finally E. So this is a very good exercise to put your fingers accustomed to this type of playing, so to speak. Once you spend like 5-10 minutes just doing this, I know it will be pretty boring, but you signed up for this. It's hours and hours of fun. Following that, you start doing the more complex stuff, which is the hammer-ons and pull-offs and whatnot. So this is a pull-off. Please take note that it's not this. It's. I hope you guys notice the difference, because if you are doing this, it's just letting go of the note and you don't have the impact of the pull-off. So you have to be really aware of this when playing these types of things. So if you go through the song, let's do this slowly. All open strings, as you know by now. You do this 4 times. And then you play the 7th fret of the E string, and you play the low E string at the same time. So you play the 7th fret, and then the 7th fret with the low E with the thumb, and you continue this ascending descending pattern. And here it comes into play the concept of slides and hammer-ons and pull-offs. So let me do this slowly for you. I'm going to do this just twice. Okay, 3 times. Okay, 4. So you do the 7th fret and the low E. You continue with the B and G, here, on the first occasion that you are playing this, you can just play on the E string, but it should be played with the E fretted notes and the open B string. So it would be something of the sort. So if you want to simplify this, it would be, so this is 7, 8, and then you do the, which is a hammer on to the 8th fret from the 7th, and then you end with a slide to the 5th fret. Feel free to practice just this part. So 7, 8, 7 with the hammer on and then the slide to the 5th fret. And when you are ready to play the thing as it is, you should do this at the same time as playing the B string, the open B string, which will require 2 fingers, of course. So it would sound something like this. And then after this section in which you do the 7, 8, 7, 5 with the hammer on and the slide to the 5th fret, you go back to the 7th. So and then here you do kind of the same thing of the pull-offs, which would be, so you just have to put your fingers ready in the 5th, 3rd and 2nd fret of the E string, and then you do a series of pull-offs. So you do a pull-off from the 5th to the 3rd fret, and then to the 2nd, and then to the open fret. So it would sound like this at full speed, which you can barely hear the passage from the 3rd to the 2nd fret, but it is there. I can assure you that. So playing the whole thing from the beginning until now, it would be also feel free to slow down this video if that's more helpful to you. I'm trying to make things slow, but you never know. If you need it a bit slower, just put it slower and try to follow my explanations and my hands. So then after doing this series of pull-offs, you go to the 5th fret of the B string with the pinky, and then you do the same thing as we did before, but instead of being the 7th fret on the high E and the low E with the thumb and another finger, you do the 5th fret of the B string and the D string open with the thumb. So, and then you play the 5th fret of the G string and the 5th fret of the B string again. And then it's, I think, the hardest part of this intro riff. It's this, because you will have to maintain both the 5th frets of the B and the G string in place while you do this, which is a pull off from the 2nd fret of the E string to an open string. So it would be, so it's 5th fret on the B and the open D, and then just the 5th fret of the G, and then 5th fret of the B, and then the 2nd fret pulling off to an open fret on the E string. So this section would be, and then you descend again, so 5th fret on the B and the G string and the D open, and then you would play the 5th fret of the G string and the B and the open E again, and then here you would keep these 2 fingers in place, So here you would play the open D, the 5th fret of the G and B string. So all together. So the thumb and these two. And while you are playing these notes on the 5th fret, you play the 2nd fret on the D string and then the 3rd fret. So it would be like this. So you are doing kind of a walking thing in the bass. So you would play. And then after this, you would play the 5th fret again on both strings. And then you would do a pull off from the 3rd fret of the E string to an open fret. And descend again. And then you would transpose this chord. So here you are playing the 3rd fret on the D string and the 5th fret on the G and B. So you would play the everything just 2 frets above. So 5th fret on the D string and 7th fret on the G and B. And then it's the second hardest part of this, which is after doing this. So here you would do a hammer-on the 5th fret of the E string and release it straight away. And then you would do, after this, a pull-off on the 7th fret of the B string. And then after it, you do a hammer-on the 5th fret of the B string. So altogether it would be. And this ends the hard part of this intro, because then you would do, which are natural harmonics, and this is it's the easiest part to do on this whole thing. It might maybe not look like it, but it's the absolutely easiest thing. So you just have to do an harmonic, you just have to put the soft part of your finger against the string and not press it. So it's here. If I put it here, it doesn't do any sound, but in here it creates an harmonic, which is what is used in this part of the song. And then you can end this with an E minor chord. So I don't know if I made a very good job of pulling this apart and explaining it. It's always been a weakness of mine, I think, but I'll try to play this slowly now and explain it along the way again. So this would be the exercise thingy. It's the easy part. Here on the 7th. I know that here on this part, when I was explaining, I left my fingers here, but to be honest, I think it's easier to play this way. But I understand if you don't do it straight away like this, because you require a bit of freedom in your hands to do it this way. So it seems more difficult than it actually is. If you take like 10-15 minutes, just a bit of time every day, I'm sure you will be able to play this very, very accurately. So the tough parts would be the 7th, the hammer-on to the 8th and the slide to the 5th, and then these pull-offs. Keep in mind that it's the 5th, 3rd, 2nd, and then none. And then here, because of the bit of a stretch, it's not too much really. I can even get to the 1st fret, but because you probably won't have the dexterity already, you will have to do a bit of a stretch to go to the 2nd fret, but once you get it, it's easy. So the pull off on the 2nd fret while keeping these fingers here. Keep in mind that you have to do this all at the same time, so you will have to practice that as well. You can even do an exercise like this, just like 5 minutes doing this, and it will hurt in the beginning, but then you will get it. So where was I? So again, a pull off, but now on the 3rd fret. And then you do everything just up 2 frets. So once you do this, you do the 5th, 7th, 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 and then this succession of hammer-ons and pull-offs. So you hammer on the 7th, and you pull it off straight away. And then you do the same for the 7th fret on the B string. So 5th on the E, and 7th on the B. And then you hammer on the 5th on the B string. And that ends the tough part. And here it's the harmonics, which is just putting the soft pad of your finger against the strings and not making any pressure, just touching them. And you will do this naturally. So now I'll play everything just slowly, so maybe you can try and follow it once you are a bit more accustomed to the things that I'm trying to explain here. Another thing about the muting in this part, I'm sure it will be a mess, but don't worry about it for now. Just focus on getting the right notes right, and then the muting and everything will fall into its place eventually, so don't sweat too much about it right now. Okay guys, so that concludes this lesson. I know it will be something to take in slowly, so just don't stress too much about it. Take your time, and I'm sure you will be able to get the hang of this. I honestly don't remember how long it took me to get this, but it wasn't straight away, so I'm not expecting you to do exactly that. So yeah, take your time, relax. If you start getting frustrated, just go drink some beer and play some video games, and then come back to it next time you are wanting to learn some guitar. And just don't stress too much about it. That's the important thing if you are starting to play the guitar, is to just take it slow, relax. It's something that you will have fun with eventually. Just the tough part is the beginning, and I think this is a very complete exercise, this introduction. It's a very complete thing to learn, and once you know how to play this, I'm sure you will feel much more at ease with the guitar. So I hope you guys enjoyed this second installment of Got Riffs. Please leave me down in the comments your opinions, leave me suggestions of stuff that you want to learn. If I know it already, then great. If not, I'll make my best efforts to learn it properly, and then I'll teach you how to play the songs that you want to play. So yeah, once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and follow me on my social medias. All the links are in the description. And see you guys next week for another video. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Take care.